Hey Mixers, welcome back to another WNBA player props video. Our best bets for yesterday cashed in the first half. Both of our players doubled their lines, so that was incredible. Should have laddered those, but honestly, I would never have done that. I was just barely hoping to squeak through with those plays, and we just got really, really lucky on that amazing day. We also need to review the day before. So let's give away that cash, and then we'll go ahead and jump into those reviews. All right, so let's go ahead and spin this wheel here. Now it looks like we have Felix Tortilla. You have won before. He said, hashtag in the mix, hoping for a high-scoring good game and for Stewie and Sabali to hit their lines. Fingers crossed, four-leaf clover. And they did. So yeah, let's jump into the day before recap. Alicia Gray over 8.5 rebounds and assists. She hit this in the first half, and that was probably the one I was the most worried about. I was very disappointed that the Dream lost. I wanted them to advance. I wanted it to be the Mercury, the Aces, the Lynx, and the Dream as the four teams at the end, but that's not what happened. So we move on. Jackie Young had a terrible game. Well, I mean, everything just got fed to Asia, and so she just didn't quite get there for us. I did play her on an alt line for her points, and that barely hit. And then Dominic Malonga over 7.5 rebounds. Nope, she only had 5. She did not get very many minutes. They just didn't use her that much as I thought that they would, and they probably lost because of it, honestly. Well, I think they probably would have lost anyways, but who knows. Anyway, on the money lines, we lost the Dream. We won the Aces. We hit both spreads because we wanted the underdogs to keep it close, and they did. And then 1-1 on the totals, which is pretty much the name of the game around here for the totals. All right, yesterday on our great first half sweep, we had Satu Sabli over 5.5 rebounds. She had 12. Brianna Stewart over 13.5 points. She had 30. And then we had a lean on Emma Miesemann over 7.5 rebounds. She only played 9 minutes, and she had 5 rebounds and assists in 9 minutes. So that was not a bad look. She just did not play. So if she had played, like 5 more minutes, she probably would have gotten this for us. We did hit on the Mercury money line and the Mercury -2, but we did not get the over 155.5. So our best bets record is 129, 101, and 2, which is 56.09%. At this point, one missed pick or one correct pick is not moving that percentage very much. So we're probably going to end the season right around 56%, which is not too bad. Would like it to be closer to 60, but I will take anything over 50 and definitely anything over 55. All right, so the slate for the Sunday games. Fever at the Aces. The Fever have won this series in the regular season 2-1 straight up. The Aces have not won in Indiana this year. Totals in Las Vegas were just one game, and it was 170, and the spread was 8. So we'll take the Aces on the money line here. We'll take the Fever on the spread. And then I'm wiffle waffling on the over under here. I'm going to take the under on 163.5. But the only reason why I think it could push to the over is that the Fever play with a lot of pace. They're one of the highest paced teams in the WNBA. Well, definitely one of the highest paced teams left in the WNBA in the playoffs. Probably the fastest. And so it will just be whether or not the Aces can contain that or not, or whether the Aces decide to play with pace as well and keep up with them. Then that would lead to an over. So I think that the Fever have got to be tired after that home win that was hard fought, and then a hard fought win in Atlanta. Now they have to travel across the country to go play the Aces, who I know that those games may not have looked easy necessarily, but I don't know if we were getting the full effort out of the Aces against the Storm team that is a little bit softer, in my opinion. So yeah, I think the Fever are going to be tired. I think that the Aces, as long as they can come up with a good defensive plan, if they can just lock down Kelsey Mitchell and make the rest of the team beat them, I think they got this one in the bag. So it will be whether or not they can do that. And then the Mercury at the Lynx here. The Lynx are 3-1 straight up on this series. In the regular season, the Mercury have not won in Minnesota. But the Mercury have played the Lynx hurt. So there was a game that Satu Sabali missed, and then there were 2 games that Alyssa Thomas and Kalia Copper both missed. So, they haven't quite been healthy for their head-to-heads. So I want to be much more careful on this one here. The totals in Minnesota have been 153 and 145, very low. And we know from the whole season that Minnesota has kept the scores low in Minnesota and that they have won. I think they've only lost twice at home. in the regular season, so not counting the Commissioner's Cup. So I will take the Lynx on the money line there, and I will take the under on the 158.5, and then the Lynx on the spread as well. The spreads in Minnesota have been 23-13, so they've blown teams out at home. The Mercury have got to be tired. I mean, I was watching them play. They were playing with the Liberty up to the very last minute, and they were playing hard. Now they have to turn around 2 days later, go to one of the hardest places to play in the entire WNBA, and try to win. So I think that's going to be tough for them. All right, so I'm taking it light on the bets today. I'm just going to have one bet. That's it. I made the mistake of swinging a little bit too hard on the first game of this last series, and I didn't do well. So I want to see how these teams match up against each other. I am going to take A'ja Wilson under 10.5 rebounds. She has never hit this against the Fever this year, having 7, 3, and 6. She did hit this once in the playoffs already against the Storm, but that was an away game. So in the 2 home games, she only had 8 and 5 against the Storm. And the Storm give up a ton of rebounds, more than the Fever. So I like this lean here. Obviously, A'ja is a beast, and she can always crush us any given moment when we take an under on her. Next one here is going to be Kayla McBride. I don't love betting on Kayla McBride, but the data tells me that I have to. So Kayla McBride over 19.5 PRA. She's over 75% of the time in 4 head-to-head games, over 100% of the time in the playoffs against the Valkyries. So, I mean, you can't argue with those numbers, really. I did see a few sites offering over 5.5 rebounds and assists for like a reduced payout for her. And I do think that's something you could take a shot on if you don't like her for points. All right, Jewell Loyd as a lean. This is just a lean. Jewell Loyd under 11.5 points. Her line is getting a little bit inflated, although she has hit this line in the last 2 playoff games. So who knows? She is under 100% of the time in the 3 head-to-heads. And the Fever are much better at defending the 3-pointer than the Storm are, although the Storm are usually pretty good at that too. So I don't know. This will, it's playoffs, so everyone's going to be playing a little bit harder. But I do think that the game plan for the Aces will be to lock down the Fever, keep the score low. And so I don't know if Jewell Loyd is going to be taking as many of these shots and or making them. So this is just a lean because it's risky. And then one note here is Satou Sabally looks like Supergirl against the Lynx if you look at her stats, because Kahleah Copper and Alyssa Thomas were not playing in those 2 games where she played against the Lynx. So don't get distracted by those crazy stat lines. We have never, I don't think not once, have we seen Kahleah Copper, Satou Sabally, and Alyssa Thomas on the court against this Lynx team. So we do not know what that looks like. Because of that, I am not betting on the Mercury at all in this one. I want to see what it looks like, and then we will, we'll hit them up for the rest of the series. So that's just something I wanted to let you guys know in case you were not aware of that. All right, so here are the best bet summary page. A'ja Wilson under 10.5 rebounds, Kayla McBride over 19.5 PRA, leans, Jewell Loyd under 11.5 points, and then the game bets that I gave you earlier. Since there's only 2 best bets here, any comment will get you in the mix for that cash giveaway. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on these players, on the games, on the series, whatever you want. Thanks, guys.